Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we are taking on an absolute giant of a topic. We're going to completely break down the emotional, historical, and financial weight of the American dream of homeownership. For generations, that white picket fence hasn't just been a symbol of having a nice place to live. Oh no, it's been the ultimate marker of having literally made it in life. But what happens when we strip away all that nostalgia and those heavy societal expectations? What's actually happening with your money? Well, we are going to look strictly at the data, our source material, and the cold, hard math to find out. It's a question you've probably agonized over at some point, right? Is buying a home really better than renting? Because let's face it, you've definitely heard the old sayings. Things like, renting is just throwing money away, or why on earth would you pay your landlord's mortgage when you could be paying your own? It's a deeply ingrained belief in our society that paints renting as a financial failure and buying as this guaranteed golden path to wealth. But today, we're going to directly challenge that assumption. Let's see if the numbers actually back up the folklore. Okay, let's dive right into this. Here is our roadmap for today's explainer. First, the homeownership myth. Then, the true costs of buying. Third, the smart renter strategy. Next up, a 20-year financial showdown. And finally, what fits your life. Starting with part 1, the home ownership myth. Before we go completely nerding out over spreadsheets, we really have to acknowledge why people dream of owning a home in the first place. A lot of it is about those profound emotional benefits, right? The pride of ownership, a deep sense of stability, and honestly, the freedom to paint your living room walls literally whatever color you want. But we have to separate that emotion from the economics. The traditional view dictates that buying inherently equals success and guaranteed wealth. The modern view, however, recognizes that a house is, at its core, just a financial product. Buying is just one of many tools available in your toolkit. It's definitely not a moral imperative. Moving right along to part 2, the true costs of buying. So when people compare renting to buying, they almost always just compare a rent check directly to a mortgage payment. But that is fundamentally flawed. And this brilliantly illustrates why. Look at how a homeowner's true monthly outflow actually breaks down. Only a small fraction, the principal, actually builds your wealth. The rest of it? It goes to mortgage interest, property taxes, insurance, and of course, maintenance. When the water heater explodes at 2 in the morning and floods your hallway, well, a landlord isn't paying for it anymore. You are. These unrecoverable costs are essentially the rent you paid to the bank and the local government just for the privilege of holding the asset. Furthermore, we need to talk about the massive barrier to entry. Consider a conservative $100,000 down payment on a decent home today. When you buy, you take a massive chunk of liquid cash and you lock it away in the drywall and the foundation of your property. Yes, absolutely, it's equity, but it is entirely illiquid. You can't exactly go buy groceries or fund a brand new business venture with the equity that's just sitting there trapped in your living room walls, That brings us to part 3, the smart renter's strategy. So if buying has all these unrecoverable costs and locks up your precious cash, what on earth is the alternative? Well, to understand the smart renter, you really have to understand opportunity cost. Basically, that's the potential loss from a missed opportunity when you choose one path over another. Remember that $100,000 down payment we just talked about? The true opportunity cost of buying a house is whatever that money could have earned if you had invested it in the stock market instead, which, historically speaking, grows a whole lot faster than residential real estate. Now, what's really interesting about this is how it completely flips the script. The classic renting stigma is that you're just paying a landlord's mortgage. We all know that guilt trip. But the renter's edge? It's an entirely different mindset. You're buying flexibility and funding market investments. Instead of wasting money, you're actually purchasing a service, a roof over your head, total freedom to relocate, zero maintenance liabilities, and crucially, the freedom to invest your capital wherever it works hardest for you. But, and this is a massive but, this only works if you actually follow the blueprint. Here are the exact wealth-building mechanics of a smart renter. Step 1, rent a place that costs less than the total monthly cost of homeownership. Step 2, take that huge pile of money you would have used for a down payment and invest it in the market. Step 3, automatically take the money you save every single month on property taxes, interest, and maintenance and invest that too. If you just go out and rent a luxury apartment and blow the difference on lavish vacations, yeah, you lose. But if you relentlessly invest the difference, you become a financial powerhouse. Let's look at part 4, a 20-year financial showdown. Let's put these two strategies head-to-head over 2 full decades. In the blue corner, we have the homebuyer who puts down their life savings, and in the red corner, we have the disciplined renter who invests their down payment and their monthly savings directly into the market. Right out of the gate in year 1, they're essentially tied. Fast forward to year 10, the buyer has definitely paid down some principal, but the renter's portfolio has been quietly compounding in the background. The race is surprisingly neck and neck, but just wait until compound interest really takes over as we hit the final stretch. Let's move to the end and see how this builds. By year 20, the results are pretty striking. The shocking reality here is that the renter's total wealth, fueled entirely by compound market returns and lower unrecoverable monthly costs, can absolutely rival and frequently even beat the buyer's total wealth. Sure, the buyer has a paid-off house, but the renter? They have a massive, highly liquid investment portfolio that's generating enough passive income to pay their rent indefinitely. Which leads us into part 5. What fits your life? So, if the math says a highly disciplined renter can actually come out ahead, what should you do? Well, housing just isn't a one-size-fits-all equation. A spreadsheet literally cannot tell you how much you might value having a backyard for your dog to run around in. These specific personal and economic variables should ultimately dictate your choice. Can you afford the true costs in your current location without being totally house poor? And most importantly, what about your lifestyle and career flexibility? Buying acts like a heavy anchor. If a massive, life-changing promotion opens up across the country, a renter just packs a box. A buyer, they have to sell a whole house. So, the crucial point is this. The math absolutely must align with your life. You shouldn't force yourself to buy just because society tells you it's some required milestone. And on the flip side, you shouldn't force yourself to rent if you really crave deep roots and stability, and you actually have the extra capital to absorb the true costs of ownership. Ultimately, this financial decision has to serve your personal career flexibility and your specific lifestyle goals. Which brings us to the core, completely unbiased conclusion drawn from our source material today. Read it, internalize it, and let it free you from that societal guilt trip. Buying is not always better, and renting is not wasting money. They are simply two different paths. One path builds wealth through real estate equity, the other builds wealth through market liquidity and lifestyle agility. Neither is inherently wrong, as long as you stay disciplined. I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. Are you defining wealth on your own terms, or are you just following an outdated script? The next time you see a for sale sign pop up in a yard or you sit down to sign a lease renewal, remember the math we went through today. Look at the true costs, rigorously factor in your opportunity cost, and make the choice that actually serves your future, not your neighbor's expectations. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and as always, keep learning.